Hey Hoopers, it's Deanne Love here, and I consider this video to be one of the more important videos that I'm going to share with you on my YouTube channel. So make sure that you get cozy and snuggling because we're about to go deep on hoop dance flow. Now you will notice that the title of this video is not how to find your hoop dance flow or how to search for your hoop dance flow. It is how to access your hoop dance flow, because I believe that hoop dance flow is not something that we search for. It's not something you're going to find on someone else's Instagram account. It's not something that you're going to find externally. Hoop dance flow is an internal sensation. So if you have your hoop diary there, or you can take notes, or maybe you want to leave your notes in the comments below, I want you to answer this. What does hoop dance flow feel like? Now, if you've never felt it before, then I want you just to imagine what flow is, or describe what it is that a lot of hoopers say that they're searching for, but they haven't quite felt yet. What is hoop dance flow? Now, I'm expecting that some people might write things like, it's peaceful, it's beautiful, it's energizing, it's this like kind of dropping out of all of the thoughts. It feels like moving tricks together. And yes, all of those things are perfectly beautiful, and the sensations or feelings that come with hoop dance flow. But flow itself is a positive psychological state. It's the state that we get into or that we feel when we are active with something, when we're fully immersed in it, and most importantly, when we are enjoying the process. So here we go. Here are 5 ways that you can access that hoop dance flow. And this comes from my personal experience, and then also experiences that I have had through teaching tens of thousands of hoop students all around the planet, and also having the beautiful experience of being in some of the workshops of some of the greatest hoop dance facilitators on the planet. And I will refer to them definitely in this video. Number 1 is trick restriction. Now, there's this misconception that you can't access hoop dance flow until you have a ton of tricks and you have to know them all perfectly, and only then will you access this sensation of full immersion and flow. And I'm going to challenge that. In fact, I am going to encourage you to use a practice that I often use and that has been inspired by the greats like Anna Hoopalicious and Baxter from the Hoop Path, and that is to restrict the tricks and really concentrate on the movement and the connection between you and your hoop. Now, if you look up the hashtag trick restriction on my Instagram or on Instagram, or you check out the blog post that I'm going to link below about trick restriction, then you will see some examples of what I mean. And really, it's exactly as the name suggests, that we're just for a moment going to drop away with the thought processes of trying to nail tricks. Now, that is a really great thing, but sometimes it's okay to take yourself away from kind of trying to learn trick after trick after trick. So trick restriction is simply choosing either one trick, like it could just be hip hooping. I have had the most incredible breakthroughs of flow sensations beyond my wildest hoop dreams simply by hooping on my hips. And that could be for a number of reasons, and depending on what your belief system is or wherever you're at with your thinking with hoop dance flow, it could be Kundalini activation or chakra alignment, or just hot, sweaty, beautiful hoop dance and just sticking to one trick on the dance floor, pumping music, hip hooping, waist hooping in this area, base chakra, bliss. Or it could be holding onto your hoop just with 2 hands and moving your hoop around, never letting go of those spots, but moving through as many different variations as you can simply by holding your hands in 2 positions. Maybe it's just one position right here and moving the hoop around. Whatever you decide your one trick is, give yourself 1, 2, 3, however many songs, and just restrict, hold back on the tricks. Now, what this will do is allow you to feel connection with your hoop, but you're not thinking through any trick nailing processes. Your brain is not saying, okay, what comes next, because really all it is full embodied movement with you and your hoop. So number 2 links to number 1, and that is to try the practice of moving your body more than you move your hoop. Now, if you're a beginner, that might just come really naturally, because when we first start hooping on our body, on our waist, our upper body movements are very overactive. And so you're probably going to be feeling those sensations of flow and full focus and really immersed in it, because your body is probably moving more than your hoop. But once you start to drill tricks, which are awesome and they look and feel great, you might find yourself getting a little bit more stuck in the mud. So your body tends to stop, your brain takes over, especially with a lot of the off-body stuff. So give yourself the practice every now and then of moving your body more than your hoop, taking your hoop along with you, but taking up space in the room. And it doesn't mean that you aren't doing any tricks, but really just getting out of your tiny space. And that might mean that you have to take yourself to the park, or maybe you rent a studio and give yourself a beautiful afternoon of hoop pleasure, whatever it is that works for you, but really taking up extra space and seeing how that can help you to focus in on the action, immerse yourself, and then access all of this beautiful sensation of dance, flow, and connection with your hoop. Number 3 is to create a sequence and practice it over and over. Or you might pick a trick or a few tricks and drill them. That means to repeat them, rehearse them over and over again. Now, what this does is that it kind of chops away the creativity or the kind of like thinking about what I should do next, and you're creating a structure. And you can put that structure in place, and when you repeat that, you're going to heighten all of the sensations. You're going to maybe start off, it might be quite difficult, so there's a challenge there, but you're going to meet that challenge and push yourself through that challenge, and then come out the end with something that feels very connected and very flowing, and the movements just kind of feel like second nature. So a great way to do that is to maybe pick like 5, 10, whatever it is, tricks, or maybe you want to choreograph a piece to a song that you love right now. And in the beginning, the challenge is going to be there, and that is an awesome thing, because often to access that psychological positive state of flow in the mind, we need to have a challenge, because boredom is going to block flow. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I do this all the time, this is like, I have no new tricks, like my hooping sucks, well, that's going to override the psychological sensation of flow. So you want to give yourself a challenge. Challenges are good. Create a sequence, write it down, write it on the board, do whatever it is. Like maybe record yourself on a video and watch it over and over again, but take action on that sequence, repeat it, drill it. And the sensation of doing that over and over again will help you to access flow. And also you get really good at the tricks or the sequences that you are practicing. Number 4 is to immerse yourself in movement and ultimately flow by shutting off some of your senses. Now, if you have been lucky enough to attend a workshop with Baxter of the Hoop Path, then you will likely have been through his personal practice and journey of blindfolded hooping. And even if you haven't had the pleasure of hooping in the presence of the great Baxter, I have to actually add that many of the moves that we do today as hoopers and hoop dancers have originated from Baxter and the Hoop Path, and that group of hoopers that really facilitated so much incredible learning and flow. So if you don't know who they are, go and check them out. You'll just be like, wow. So shutting down some of the senses, either blindfolded, or for me, personally, when I was starting to learn how to hoop, I really didn't have many tricks, but I could drop into a sense of flow very easily, because I was often in the park after dark with headphones on, like blasting music. So I could not hear what was going on around me. I was really in that world of those beats and those sensations. And I couldn't really see anything because it was dark. So make sure that it's a safe park, or that you have someone with me. Musa, my husband, would often be sitting there with me, so it was fine. Or if I couldn't go to the park, or in the winter it was really cold, then I would have a tiny hoop space. I was living in Japan at the time, so a really small hoop space, and I would turn off the lights and always have those headphones on. So I would really be in that world, very immersed in the movement, and nothing else really mattered. There were no distractions. No phones were going off, no likes and pings coming from social media. It was very much in that world. I wasn't thinking about external factors. I wasn't thinking like, oh, I wonder what that girl, that really amazing Hooper that I love, like she does this and this. It was very internal, and that is exactly where flow exists. It's in here. It's not on Instagram. It's not on YouTube. It's not out there. It's not when your mind is being distracted. It's when you can come into this positive state of feeling really into the depth of immersion in your hoop. So shut some stuff down. Maybe it is a blindfold. Maybe it is headphones. Maybe it is closing your eyes. Try that practice and see how it feels for you safely. Number 5 is don't stop when you drop. This is a huge one. How many times do we all drop our hoops? Now, you won't see this very often on social media unless you look at the hashtag Hooper bloopers or something, which is always really beautiful to know that we all drop our hoop. And yes, it's very easy when you lose that connection to go into these like thought spirals of like, oh man, I suck, or oh, I've lost my hoop, or I'll never get that trick, or it's so annoying going to pick up my hoop, or like whatever it is. You can like really attach to these kind of negative inner talk that will just like shout you down. And so you have to catch those. And in that moment, when you have that awareness and that awakening, you can be like, oh, this is a moment for pure exploration. So the hoop does drop. So what? There's actually this kind of hoop dance rumor going around from the old days that if you're not dropping your hoop, then you're not challenging yourself enough. You are not pushing yourself enough. So allow yourself to see dropping the hoop as a moment not to stop, but to continue to explore your body's movement. So if the hoop does go across the room, dance to it, move to it. Whatever emotion comes up, express that emotion as you move towards your hoop. Now, you might feel a little bit wild if you're in the park and the emotion is pure anger and you're, crossing the park, crawling along the floor as a wild woman. But hey, it's totally fine. It's definitely a moment for you to explore more movement and really test your own hoop dance flow access. In those moments when you drop your hoop, do you fully get distracted and just, really down on yourself and let all that flow that you are experiencing drop away? Or do you continue to immerse yourself in the movement, in the play, show yourself complete self-compassion, and dance over to your hoop and continue to move and groove. Okay, Hooper, my hope for you from this video is that you come to a greater understanding that flow is actually inside you. It's a state that you can create through play, practice, and immersion in movement with your hoop. So take some of these ideas, play with them, mess around with them. I hope that when you're practicing, the next time you drop your hoop, you think of me and you just continue to groove on over to it and just have fun. After all, it's a hula hoop, so we're meant to rock it. And just know that flow is right there with you all the time. And you are the most incredible, amazing being on the planet, whether you know 7 million trillion tricks or you just rock one. Big hoop love from me to you. Mwah.